Hi, Chris Duff over at Serious Land Capital, vacant land funding partner. Today I wanted to go over some additional dispo strategies and what areas you might delegate and what areas you might take ownership on your own. So within our portfolio, the trickiest parcel to sell, and we've held it the longest, a little over 4 months. That to me is like getting very long in the tooth here, and we have extremely limited margin left in this deal in central Tennessee, and 2 acre infill lot. And if we were looking at this property in this current environment, I wouldn't have funded it. It's 2020 hindsight. At the same time, I knew it was a bit more questionable when we bought it, but we thought we had enough protections in place. Now it's just I got to get this property off our plate. It's the number one biggest problem that I'm trying to sort out. So I've just been having my assistant take, every possible step to look to dispo the deal, and then stepping in myself for anything I can help on. So a couple avenues of this. Today I just wanted to comment on reaching out to local builders or developers in the area. So I had my assistant prep a local builders list. There's a handful of ways to do this. You can use some variation of a Google search or Perplexity to try to figure out, who are the local builders. I don't know, within a 25-mile radius. You could go even beyond that, depending on how rural it is. You can also scan around on the aerial maps, and especially if you're in an infill lot area, just see if there was any current builder owners, for instance. That can be another good avenue. Some people might suggest reaching out to one of the county or city offices, maybe at planning and zoning, and just see, hey, would you be able to tell me who are the builders in the area, purchased or been building on lots here recently. And usually it's publicly available info, and the planning and zoning department, they're incentivized to get lots developed and increase the property tax value within the county and more revenue in the door. Some counties will be more helpful than others in that regard, but that's another avenue that you could explore there. Or you could also look at completed homes that are on market or have sold recently in the area, again with X number for your search radius on Zillow, Redfin, whatever, and then figure out what the name of the builder is from those listings. Sometimes it's a bit easier to tell than others. You might have to look up, okay, who's the owner, search the APN and figure out who the owner is, so you're not just stuck on trying to go through an agent or anything. So, all of these avenues, require a bit of legwork to figure out. And the thing is, if you're just, pulling from Google and so forth, you want to make sure that they're working phone numbers, or see if you can actually find a site associated with that builder or developer and get the right contact info. And so, utilizing any of that, of those strategies, plug it into a spreadsheet with all the relevant phone numbers, emails ideally too, if they have it, and then, create a column. Okay, is this a cell number? So you can potentially text them. And then I'll usually have upwards of a three attempt outreach basis spread across roughly a week or two, to see if I can really get an answer out of all of these builders. They're surprisingly none are unresponsive for the most part. Occasionally some will have secretaries and so forth. And I'm not trying to reach out to like a Lennar or a DR Horton or anything like that. I want smaller local builders who might be managing very small subdivisions or just one-off lots for custom builds. So those are the folks who could be potentially buyers for us for just, those one-off lots. And so I just, sat down, just knocked out the list that we had prepped today. And that's something I'd rather handle personally versus my assistant. Just again, kind of command of English language. And, this is such a problem within our own business trying to offload this lot. Like, and it's like, hey, and it's not even for that much money. We're barely going to make any. We might break even, probably be a small loss, but like, I really need to get this one out. See, it's like a 35K buy. We're listed at 42.5 right now, so like, it's very thin, especially net of closing costs and allocated overhead. But nevertheless, like, you're never above any problem that arises within your business. And I just like, there's no shame in jumping in as needed. No fire is not worth my attention when it comes to moving the business forward, especially when it comes to, what is the overall largest blocker for our business moving. It's getting this dispo out the door for portfolio that's just, long in the tooth here. So where do I need to jump in? I'm going to carve out the time. I'm going to get things done. And there was a fair amount of positive responses, like 25-ish outreaches. I want to say I spoke to probably 6 or 7 of the builders, or various people at their companies live. Probably half of them were not interested, and out of that whole list, probably sent 3 follow-up messages, like, for folks who are like, yeah, send stuff over. 1 out of 8 hit rate, like, that's not too bad for possible dispo, especially for a like much more difficult property. So got that info to them right away. Also indicated, hey, we have like below market pricing, we're open owner finance. Just not showing desperation, but showing we're pretty motivated here. We can work with you if you're interested at all in acquiring in this area. It's a lot with utilities, etc. Just like, get to the point, figure out what does the builder need to know regarding this property, and just following up routinely. And then I tried texting all of the other numbers who seemed to have a cell phone, and if they didn't, I'll just mark that down so I don't text again from that number. Placed a few broken numbers as needed to try to find the right ones, and then I'll plan to reach out for a second round this Friday, so roughly 3 days from now, and then do another round next week too, to just again really figure out if there's any potential to work together with these builders here. So this strategy has worked with us, or worked for us in the past. Again, it's more manual. It takes some legwork. Ideally, you would be doing outreaches like this for much larger properties here, but that's where we're scaling up to. This is just enough of a problem property. Like, I need to get this, like, it's my number one biggest problem in the business to solve. So I'm jumping in, exploring every avenue to sort this out. So if you haven't done something like this already, that's the playbook. Again, I know it's nobody's cup of tea to go through some of that manual work or just calling around and so forth, especially if you're more like visionary business leader like myself. But that's what it takes sometimes. Is the hard work is the stuff no one wants to do, but it can get results. So if I even get possible sale offer sheet, who knows, from one of these builders, that will have been worth that hour of time that I put in to knock out all of those calls. So hopefully this one helps today. I'll go over another dispo strategy tomorrow that I have my assistant doing in the meantime. With that, if you're looking for funding, we've picked up a lot more even over the last week, 7 or 8 like big development type deals, including some people looking like for over $10 million equity checks. Very, very significant. And so I'm just never sure, is there just more activity in that space where our name is coming up more, or are they reaching out to other funders and just no one is funding these bigger deals? Like, I'm never positive about that, but those are the type of deals that I want to reorient toward more as we continue to grow, which I was referencing yesterday. So it's good to see that. And then a number of smaller deals have been coming our way as well too. Just good to see the activity in the industry, and keep that in mind for your own businesses. We'll see if we'll fund any other ones. Some are like very, very borderline that we probably would have done pre-April tariff trade war situation. But now it's just like, it's just not worth that risk. Like, unless they're really super de-risked and exceptional deals, like, we're not throwing liquidity at those deals in favor of just waiting for better ones and being safer in a very uncertain environment. So that's just our thinking there. And then Land Daily Diligence, Facebook group, zero cost review of your land deals, have another slew of them ready to review this Thursday. And then landpricer.ai, a lot more work done on that. I have a whole block set up for additional engineering, prompt engineering tasks for the LLM model on that tomorrow. Subscribe and share if you haven't already. Looking forward to next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.